The reason as to why you clicked into this video is because you deeply care about yourself and you deeply care about the people who are around you. You know that you have one life and one chance at mastering a stable mindset so that you can live a happy life. And I also know that deep down inside of you, you know that you're meant for more. Otherwise, you would not have clicked into this video. You clicked into this video because you know that there's a more successful and happier version of you that's waiting for you to take action. And we all have that higher version of ourselves that we so desperately want to become, but where do we begin? You begin from the inside. You always begin from the inside. Whatever you want to achieve in life, remember that lasting success starts from within. If you don't work on your inner self and your mentality first, the external achievements will not last. You could find the best partner, but if you're not mentally stable, it will not last. And you could also become the most richest CEO, but if you're not mentally stable, the money will slip right out of your hands. No external success can be sustained without mental stability. And this is why your mentality is so important, because nothing lasts without a stable mind. And there are loads of changes that you can do to attain this mindset. Let's begin with this one. Learning how to make big decisions. When we're facing a big decision, we must learn how to stop and to really think it through before we actually make the decision. Whatever you do, never make a decision without careful consideration. Never give an answer or commit to a choice if you haven't gotten the time to fully think things through. Let me give you an example. I once worked at a place, and on that Friday, I was supposed to quit earlier. But a man from that workplace asked me if we could switch our shift so that he could quit earlier and so that I could take his shift, which meant that I would quit much later than I first would have done. He said that it was because of some personal stuff, so I just said yes before even thinking it through, because decisions made in the heat of the moment are often dominated by your heart and not your head. And I didn't think that much about the decision, but when Friday came around, I regretted that decision so much. And because I didn't give myself the time to really think this through, it basically ruined my Friday. And whilst this example is not that serious, my point here is that you should never give an answer unless you've had the time to fully think it through. But what I should have done in that moment was to tell him that I needed time to really think this through. And after this incident, it really made me realize that I needed to get better at this. And this is what I did to fully improve my decision making. I started delaying my answers. Remember how I said that decisions made in the heat of the moment are often dominated by your heart and not your head? Well, if you want to have a chance to fully think it through with your head and not your heart, you have to start delaying your answers. Instead of thinking that you owe someone a yes or no fast, or owing an option a fast decision, you have to start thinking that you owe yourself some time to fully think it through. Whatever decision you're making, that decision is going to have consequences that future you will have to live with. So take your time to fully think it through and delay your answers. The truth is that you don't owe anyone anything. So if you're not sure, then delay your answers and tell them that you will have to think about it. Or just tell them, I will get back to you with the answers later. Do not make a decision merely to get rid of the pressure. The real pressure will come when you will have to live with the consequences of you making a decision without fully thinking it through. If you're not sure about the answer, go for a walk, take a break, or maybe go to the balcony to get some air. Do whatever it takes to delay your answer and to have time to think about the option in your head by yourself. So remember, never make a decision if you haven't gotten the time to fully think it through. And also, one thing that I notice about decision making is that you're never in the same mood as when you make the decision and when you will have to live with the consequences of that decision. So do not rush your answers. The next thing you can do to be mentally stable is to become self-aware. And nobody is talking about it, but most of us are living on autopilot when it comes to our feelings and our emotions. We act impulsively on our temporary thoughts because the truth is that most of us are not self-aware. Being self-aware means monitoring your stress, your thoughts, and emotions. And if you're not aware of these things, your life will get out of control. Let me give you an example. Sarah is a girl who has got no self-awareness. She feels as if she's not happy and she cannot figure out why. She has it all, a big house, a perfect family, a perfect husband, but she can't figure out what's missing. But if we take a look at Sarah's habits, we can see that she spends a lot of time on social media. And this is something that she doesn't really bring awareness to until one day she decides to limit the use of social media and she realizes that this was the problem all along. The problem was that her emotional nature was triggered because of social media, which led to her comparing herself to others on a daily basis, and she also developed anxiety because of this. But because of her lack of self-awareness, she could not figure this out earlier. Had she stepped back to fully analyze her life, her habits, her daily choices, she would have become self-aware earlier and solved her problems earlier. What could Sarah have done differently to become more self-aware, you may ask? Let me tell you what she could have done. Sarah should have prioritized being in touch with her emotions, because recognizing what you feel will tell you exactly what people, actions, and situations are triggering you. Sarah, she blamed the feeling of being sad on multiple things. She blamed it on her husband, on her kids being messy, on her boss being annoying, but she never took a step back to fully analyze her daily habits. Not once did she analyze her habits or her daily life. One thing that she could have done to fully practice self-awareness was to go for walks all alone. Without her kids, without her husband, just her and her thoughts. Because people often talk about walking as a way to burn calories and stay active, which is accurate, but walking could be used as your own free therapy session. When you're going for a walk, you're giving yourself time to fully reflect on your relationships in life, on your workplace, and on yourself. And this brings you self-awareness because now you can finally analyze how you feel about everything in your life, but in peace. And also, another thing that Sarah could have done to practice self-awareness was to start journaling. By journaling, she would have let her subconscious mind speak to her. The subconscious mind is a part of your mind that you're not really aware of, but that influences your actions. And if you think about it, journaling is like talking to a really nice friend. She never interrupts you, she fully listens to you, and she doesn't tell anyone about your feelings. Journaling is a safe space, and it also allows you to speak your mind so that your feelings don't get piled up and explored later as anger. And if you have a hard time becoming more self-aware, you could ask a friend how you handled the situation that you weren't sure of. Because sometimes we need a non-biased opinion. If you ask yourself, what do I think about how I handled that situation? Your ego will start speaking and tell you that you did everything perfectly. But if you ask another person for their opinion, they could give you life-changing advice and make you more self-aware about your behavior. And the last thing you can do to become more self-aware is to give to others. Research shows that being kind to others and giving to others can help you improve your mental health. This is literally a cheat code for happiness, but nobody talks about it. You can improve your mental health and strengthen your mentality by simply being kind. I also read in a book by Dale Carnegie that when you start focusing on being kind to others and acts of giving, you naturally reduce worry and self-pity. And this is how it works. When you start focusing on being kind to other people, you shift your focus away from what you lack in negative thoughts to simply being more interested in other people. Because when you're creating moments of happiness for other people, you often end up experiencing more happiness yourself. Because here's the thing, we often get so caught up in ourselves, our own thoughts, and our own lives that we forget how much human connections can benefit us. If you have a hard time being happy and being positive, remember this. Make someone else happy because it will result in you smiling with them, and according to Stanford researchers, smiling can actually improve your mood. So say thank you to people, compliment them, ask them how their day was, listen to what they have to say, just be kind. Also, a reminder, being kind does not mean that you should let your kindness be used or taken advantage of by other people. Being kind is not the same as having zero boundaries, because real kindness includes self-respect. You're supposed to know your limits. You're supposed to know when to say no, when to step back. It is essential when you're a kind person because some people love to take advantage of kind people. And it also does not mean that those people are evil. It just means that they take the easy route. So for example, when they know that you're a kind person and they need something, the first person that they will ask for that thing is you because they know that you're kind. So it makes them easier for them to ask you. So you have to really focus on balancing your kindness with healthy boundaries because then it becomes more empowering rather than draining. You can be kind and care about others while still prioritizing your own well-being. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you liked it. Comment down below what you want to see in the next video. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.